And welcome back for the last match of the day. Hi, I'm Rich Slayton, caster for Clash Royale League, today with you for the final match on this Sunday of No Tilt Worlds. Spain facing elimination, win or go home against France. This is No Tilt Worlds. Let's go. So, taking a look at the action so far today, Russia beating Taiwan 2-1. Romania, that's the important result. Romania beating Greece, getting the job done in King of the Hill, which means the pressure is on Spain right now. Win or go home. There is a three-way tie if Spain wins, which means it would go to set differential, which would put Spain through because a win would guarantee a better set differential than Romania. But a loss means they are 1-2. Romania would be 2-1, and Romania would go through. France, nothing to lose, but plenty to gain today. Of course, winning would actually win or lose their guaranteed first spot in the group, but winning would also mean they don't risk facing Spain again in the bracket rounds at some point. So, hoping to get Spain out is the French side. Joining me today for this matchup, a fantastic analyst, CRL player. Welcome, trainer Dippets George. Are you there?
Hey, what's up, everyone?
So George will be stepping in with a little bit of analysis here and there. We talk about matchups and things like that, bringing that expert vision. Take a look at Group G right now. France, of course, 2-0. You see that result right now. Romania 2-1, so currently ahead of Spain. Spain needs the win to tie things up and stay in the mix. Again, as I said before, lose and go home for the Spanish side. George, what does Spain need to do today to get past France?
Spain just needs to just stick with their strongest lineup, I feel, which is why they lost to Romania. Spain is like almost unbeatable, I feel, if they're hot that day. France is they're solid, but I would say they have two main keys when Spain always has four.
So again, Spain versus France is the matchup today, and you take a look at that French side, and a lot of it comes down to one man, Azilis, the CRL star, but this Spanish side continues to be stacked, and a bit of a shift in the lineup today. Canario, Michifu, and Ruben have been in here a bunch. Yarai getting mixed in today on the Spanish side, Bale taking a seat, and on the French side, it's going to be probably Intox and Chetty as the 2v2 duo, most likely Azilis coming out in the 1v1, and Ryut potentially getting mixed in King of the Hill. That's my guess for the lineup. Now, Dip, this has been interesting so far. Spain has shown some cracks in the armor, but France has looked very, very good in 2v2. We'll talk a bit more about whatever the 1v1 matchup is once we know the lineups. But have you had a chance to watch France's 2v2 much in this tournament?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of their scrims as well. I think they're a pretty solid 2v2, but I assume that Spain is switching in Yeri because Yeri is pretty solid at 2v2, especially coming like from Fnatic. So,
wow, but take a look at that. Yarai not coming in 2v2. It's Ruben and Canario as the 2v2 duo against France, going with Intox and Shetty one more time.
So I guess they're putting Yeri probably in the 1v1 because I just don't see not having the King of the Hill be Michifu in there. So we'll have to see.
That'll be very interesting. You know, Canario somewhat famously got benched in 2v2 for their opening match against Romania, and some people saying that contributed to them taking the loss. By the way, the ban cards throughout this match, Tornado, double ban, so will not be active in either one of our matches today. Canario is, of course, a very good 2v2 player. 34-20 overall in 2v2 games throughout his CRL career, a 63% win rate. Ruben, not bad himself, 8-4 over one season with a 67% win rate. So, George, do you think Miner will appear in 2v2 as much now with the Miner nerf?
A lot of 2v2 games come down to the wire, so I think it's going to be really interesting. I think Cannon Cart will probably make its way back because a damage buff is so important in 2v2 because with so many troops being down, the more damage the better. So I think Miner will definitely get affected.
So here we go. Musketeer left-hand side, met by the P.E.K.K.A right at the bridge. Aggressive play here from the French side. And Goblin Cage in response, and you see why they're getting aggressive. The wall breaker's at the bridge, met by a Mega Knight. A little bit of leaked elixir here on the left-hand side for Chetty, and a big-time push. Mega Knight, healthy Mega Minion, and Balloon behind. Freeze comes in, high Goblin Cage, defensive Miner. That Balloon may get a connection, a lot of DPS all over it. Fireball comes in. Don't know if the Fireball was needed, but it did help. Mega Knight gets killed midair. Musketeer will not get a shot due to that log, and the Spanish side certainly ahead with the first 2 minutes of play down and keeping the pressure on with this Balloon deck. Balloon does connect right-hand side. Here we go. And a perfectly placed log. Not necessary, though, with the death damage from the Balloon. Right-hand tower down. And this Miner wall breaker deck getting nothing done for the French team. Final 15 seconds, unless France can pull out a triple earthquake or a nuclear weapon. Looks like this first game is going to go towards the Spanish squad. Getting it done in style, getting it done easily is Canario and Ruben. Game number 1. All things looking good for Spain so far. Dip, tell me a little bit about that matchup. Miner Wall Breakers has been coming into 2v2 a bit more, but it seems like a very strange archetype to get mixed in with a set that has so many spells and so many troops on the board.
That's Wall Breakers they were pretty decent in CRL, I feel, and they can work in some decks, so that deck was interesting to me. I feel like it didn't have a very good bait aspect, and with a strong defensive deck like Spain's, it just wasn't going to get any damage, clearly.
So not able to get on tower pretty much at all is the French side. And take a look at the results. We can take a look at these decks a little bit more now. George, you did mention that the French deck, you thought it was a strange deck for a Miner Wall Breakers deck. Expand on that idea a little bit.
I don't know. I would expect maybe there was Dark Goblin, but besides that, there's not really many cards that you have to waste your spells on. Like the old decks that were used, there was always a lot of them had recruits in there, for example, or just way more cards that were just loggable and spellable. I just feel their decks were very heavy, which just didn't really fit. And more of a meta deck like Spain's will usually win most of the time, I feel.
Yeah, Spain going double loon with Miner on one side, Lumberjack on the other, and of course you can see a lot of responses to those wall breakers, the log, even the zap, the fireball, of course the Mega Knight, and the Goblin Cage, all good responses to those wall breakers. And oddly enough, you're looking at a Miner Wall Breakers deck versus a Balloon Cycle deck, and it looks like the Loon Cycle deck might be almost even in elixir, an average elixir to that Wall Breaker Cycle deck. So here we go, game number 2. Spain up 1 in a very important match. To remind you of the stakes, if Spain wins today, they go through to the out rounds. If they lose to France, they go home and do not compete in the round of 16, pushing Romania through. So again, going Miner Wall Breakers is the French side. Again, no Tornado active at all, and Firecracker coming out in 2v2. You don't see that very often. So here we go. Prince picked up Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton for Canario and Ruben. The high E-Wiz gets taken off the board. Inferno Dragon will finish that burn. Pretty good fireball in for the Spanish side, but not a lot of damage done. First minute away, Spain slightly ahead. What do you think about this look this time out for the French side, Dip?
So France is running the same deck, and I don't know, I feel like Spain is running decks that are pretty good against wall breakers, and they have one building, one P.E.K.K.A, so they definitely could defend the RGs. But when it gets to double, if Spain continues to defend well, I could see them very easily winning this game again.
So solid in defense so far is Spain. Miner wall breakers in. This time Miner high. Wall breaker does not connect. Lumberjack and guards pick up on the right-hand side. Giant Skeleton, Firecracker, rotating to the right-hand lane. Fireball in, gets the Firecracker off the board. And Royal Giant right at the bridge, directly into a P.E.K.K.A. Giant Skeleton in front should clean up a lot of that. Royal Giant, though, not able to get those shots off. So here we go, right-hand lane, final 30 seconds. But France unable to mount any sort of counter push. The pressure from the Spanish side just relentless right now. Earthquake in, Royal Giant will get on tower, and now Spain starting to take some chunks out of that right-hand side. Fireball gets the Musketeer off, Goblin Brawler pops, but not quite early enough. Ewiz does go down. Scores pretty close right-hand lane, 1653 on the Spanish right-hand tower, 1474 on the French right-hand tower. And there goes the King Tower activation. Not super critical against a Royal Giant deck, but who knows, it might help here and there. Wall breakers picked up by that bomb tower. A poison will get good value on the back end, although can he stick those troops in the poison? The log does get the Ewiz off the board, so he can protect that Inferno Dragon, but can they continue to hold off against this Royal Giant? And George, you said it there. He talked about the buildings. So far, they're holding pretty strong. Fireball in, right-hand side now under 1,000 HP. One connection does get through. 571 on the right-hand side. 90 seconds remaining in this game. Royal Giant down, raged up. Can the French get back around to something to stop that? P.E.K.K.A. down. Earthquake trying to slow things down. Royal Giant does get a big-time shot. And you see a little bit of extra chip there coming in from the Firecracker. Miner goes to the front this time. Guards do not get the pickup. Now getting into spell cycle ranges that right-hand tower under 300 HP. And there you go. The French get it back and take game number 2, evening things up in the opening set. Wow, that was a back-and-forth ending. George, you talked about the defensive capability of this deck against that Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton deck. What is it the French did well in this matchup?
Honestly, France did just a perfect job when saving their defenses and not double committing with building and P.E.K.K.A. and always just having the right cards in hand to defend. And I would say they defended near flawlessly that whole game, which is why they won.
And that's a very key point you talk about for those of you watching at home. A key point George mentions there is not double defending. Let's take a look at the stats, and you can see Chetty and Intox doing a good job, as we were just talking about, of rotating that Goblin Cage and that P.E.K.K.A. Not double defending. And of course, little DPS there from the Prince as well, but didn't end up being necessary. And there was one really nice play, George, that I noticed where they were able to get that the Ewiz off with the poison and the log to keep it in that poison range, and then the Inferno Dragon able to burn as well. So 3 good defensive options, and France, as you mentioned, doing a good job rotating all 3 of those. Now, we've seen 2 different decks come out from Spain. We've seen the Balloon Cycle deck. We've now seen Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton. Do you have any thoughts or ideas on what Spain does in game number 3 here?
Now, Spain and France are in a big mind game, because Spain, of course, could go back to their first deck, which completely destroyed them. So it's going to be definitely interesting to see if Spain decides to go back to game 1 and if France will go 3 for 3 on decks, or if France is going to expect that and try to counter them. So I think Spain might try to probably run a deck that they haven't seen yet, like Lava Hound or something. That might be unpredictable.
So here we go.
Never mind.
And there you go, Mega Knight in the back with Lumberjack behind. So this could be that balloon deck one more time. And that Mega Knight just barely gets picked up. Goblin Cage comes around, and now you have a healthy Dark Prince and a P.E.K.K.A. A big counter push potentially going the opposite direction from France to open things up. Dark Prince in front of the P.E.K.K.A. Ram Rider comes down, so France now varying things up with a third look, or with a new look here in game number 3. Ram Rider does connect. And all they can do is log that back and try to buy a little time. You see right now, Spain completely out of elixir. Do you think France has any idea that they could put the pressure on a little bit here, just putting some goblins at the bridge, trying to force their opponents to make some moves? And there you see Spain choosing to min-max a bit, eat that damage, and get some elixir back. Wow, way behind George. What does Spain have to do to get back in this one?
Is this the same as... Is this the freeze deck? I can't tell. Oh, okay, yeah. So I think France ran Ram Rider because Ram Rider generally does well against Balloon, so France possibly with a good snipe here, but this... Oh,
And there we go. Freeze gets in, and that is huge. Tower down left-hand side. Canario and Ruben, you were just talking about it, and they fired back there. Right-hand side, Ram Rider trying to connect. Zap will slow it down for a second, but does get a little bit of a connection. Not a whole lot, though. Final minute, and what looked like was going to be a bit of trouble here for Spain suddenly turns into a heap of trouble for France. A little ahead on Elixir, and now they're building up a big push for the right-hand side. Dark Prince behind the P.E.K.K.A. Ram Rider way in the back, and Magic Archer high. Fireball cleans that up, but Fireball now not available for any more defense. P.E.K.K.A. will get on tower. Ram Rider connects. Dark Prince connects. Tower down. All right, we are in a cross-tower situation. George, now that we're going into sudden death overtime, who has the advantage when we are towers across in this stage?
I think that France definitely has the advantage. Their deck is really good at defending against Balloon, and now that they're always going to have the Elixir and double, I think this might be a bit of a snipe from France, so I think France definitely has the advantage.
Raged up Mega Knight leaps on in, supported by the Mega Minion, but take a look at the Musketeer on the right-hand side, taking that King Tower down to under 2,500. So now France has options, good options in both lanes. Minor Balloon Lumberjack push coming out from the Spanish side. Ram Rider trying to slow all that down. What can they get on those two Musketeers? Lumberjack comes in, takes one Musketeer down, but the Log takes care of that Ram Rider. 15 seconds away in sudden death overtime. Currently, France a little bit ahead, but that could change in a moment's notice. A Balloon freeze can do a whole lot. Mega Knight to the right-hand lane. Final 90 seconds. Fireball, good value there, getting both towers and that Magic Archer. Lumberjack dropped inside. So it looks like France going King Tower side for this push. Potentially Spain going to go Balloon left-hand lane, maybe get in front of that Musketeer. We'll see if that's what they choose to do. Musketeer untouched by the French. 1847 right-hand lane. Spain, only one player has much in the way of Elixir. A big-time lightning comes in. Can the P.E.K.K.A. No, a defensive freeze comes out to save the day for a second, but suddenly France way ahead on Elixir. Spain in a lot of trouble here in the final 40 seconds of sudden death overtime. Mega Knight down, Dark Prince down. And again, that might be some fireball value high. Log comes in. Yes, it does. Musketeer and Magic Archer both get off the board. And suddenly, big counter push coming in the opposite direction. Spain has a good chance of stealing this. Freeze does come in. High Goblin Cage. Good patience there by the French side, but that Balloon making a beeline for the tower. Second Balloon in. It is all raged up. Mega Minion on the board, trying to stop it. Balloon does not connect. 1971 right-hand side. 884 on the King Tower of the Spanish team. Can France hold Spain off in 2v2 just a little bit longer? Miner comes in. Eva's to catch the Miner. Lightning to punctuate the story, and France takes the 2v2. Spain back against the wall. It could happen, folks. Spain could go out in the group stage of No-Tilt Worlds. Wow. Absolute wow. And Dip, you were talking about this as you thought it might be a snipe here. Tell me a bit more about your thought process. What about this felt like a snipe against the Balloon deck specifically?
Well, first off, Ram Rider is just Ram Rider is always a card that people put it in to do well against Balloon, because you just drop it, it just stuns it, and then whatever else they have, which they had a lot of air counters like Mega Minion, Musketeer, E-Wiz, Snowball. Like they had all the answers they needed, and with P.E.K.K.A. in their deck, it was they had all the tools they needed to just pull out this win.
So here you go. Take a look at the stats from this game provided by Stats Royale. France taking the opening set 2-1, and take a look at that deck on the right-hand side. Lots of Balloon answers, double Ram Rider, E-Wiz, Musketeer. Even with the value that was given, those Magic Archer and Musketeer shots for the Fireball from Spain could not get even things up, and a lot of the time throughout this game, Spain behind on Elixir. So going ahead to a question from the chat, WebPG87. Are there any rules to how the playoff bracket first-round opponents are going to be picked? Yes, WebPG, I believe we'll be showing a video to explain that in more detail later, but just a bit of a little idea. The first thing they're going to do is put all the groups that are from the same region into a single bucket and pick them out one by one to separate them on different sides of the bracket. So one America's group will go to the left side, one to the right side, so on and so forth. Once they are in there, then it will be a random draw where in the first round, all number 1 seeds will face number 2 seeds. So every single first round match is going to be a number 1 from the group versus a number 2 from the group, and those groups will be separated side by side, and they're going to try to split up the regions as much as possible. So we'll see a video more to explain that. I believe that's how it's working. We'll see a video to explain that in more detail later. And here we go, taking a look at the replay. They didn't let me know, so here now I've put my caster cam in for the replay. And here we go, that left-hand side. This was a massive, massive play, and it kept the Spanish team in, but also they had to spend a lot to get back into the game. And at this moment, even though you can see the elixir seems fairly similar, you see how much more the French side has on the board and able to go ahead Ram Rider to the right-hand lane, and eventually they were able to turn this into a win. And this was the big turning point. It seemed for a moment like France might have things, or Spain might have things taken care of. But again, it was France with a bit more elixir. And on the right-hand side, even with this fireball high, you can see just not able to hold off. This push gets all the way through. Ram Rider connects. And from this point forward, the defense was fairly simple for the French side. And Spain now down 1 set going into 1v1. And this is going to be a tight one. This is going to be a really, really tight one. And here you can see the ending. It's Spain just doing everything they can to get on tower. There was one big balloon push that was nearly able to steal the game back for them, but in the end, just too far behind. And as my friend Dip, who's joining us on voice today, said, a bit of a snipe out from the French side against this Spanish deck, and things worked out very well for them. So now we head into the 1v1. Hugo, welcome. Currently, as I just mentioned, France is ahead 1-0. Now, Dip, I have to imagine Azelius comes out for France. There's no good reason for anybody else to come out, especially how he's playing. Who do you imagine steps in for Spain at this moment? They have 2 really good options. Do you believe it's going to be Michifu, or is it going to be Rai?
Michi is just the stronger option, I would say. So, well, I see here, Michi versus Azelius. So, I think, I assume that Spain is just going to try to snipe Graveyard, because that's kind of Azelius' thing, or Bridge Pad, because that's his ladder profile right now. So we'll see what they've been searching for, and yeah, I think they definitely are prepared for Azelius, because he's been running this deck. He actually tweeted about this deck today that he's using, so possibly not the best deck choice, but we'll see.
Yeah, interesting choice to tweet about a deck and then use it in competition later that same day. A little slow down here from the gameplay. It'll catch up in a moment. I just upgraded my internet. I get 230 down and 10 up now, so it should clean up here in just a moment. There we go. So Ram Rider left-hand lane. Now, was this the exact deck he was tweeting about, or was he tweeting about the more traditional bridge band style?
Exact. So I think Michi was a bit prepared for this with E-Drag and Mini P.E.K.K.A. So definitely a snipe, I think, from... Well, maybe not a snipe, but definitely a calculated, like... They expected Azelius to use this, so they were definitely running a safe deck for that.
Definitely one of the most disliked decks in the game right now. I'm surprised to see the chat isn't saying 2 words over and over again in regards to the deck that Michifu is running. We'll see who's the first one to throw it out there. Oh, looks like Swood joined into the chat as well, so welcome, buddy. Excited to see what Canada does in their final match.
Sweep actually promised a 5-0 on Twitter.
I saw it. We'll see if he can make it happen. Fireball gets the Magic Archer off the board. So far, everything going the Spaniards' way. Michifu way ahead as we enter into double elixir time. But now Azelius starting to pile on at the bridge. But as you said, that Mini P.E.K.K.A, a massive answer to this deck, and unable to get much out of that push. And still pretty even on elixir as well. There we go. Timo, first one to get it done in the chat. That's what I expected to see a whole bunch when this deck came up, but took a little while. So here we go. E-Drag loading up left-hand lane. Battle Healer for Battle Healer. Night Witch in the back for Azilius and goes Ram Rider opposite lane with Magic Archer behind. Good prediction on the Mini P.E.K.K.A. with the Magic Archer. And the Bandit to pick up the Mini P.E.K.K.A. Azilius doing some good work on the right-hand side, but will have enough to defend on the left-hand side as well. Bandit does get on tower, but that Bandit will not be enough. Baby Dragon, E-Drag, Battle Healer, and a whole bunch of little Elixir Globules left-hand side. I do not know if Azilius can survive this. Down to 500 HP, 480. That's going to be it left-hand side. Azilius going to lose that tower. Michifu takes game number 1. Azilius went with a great idea, that probably the only idea he had, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Dip, but it felt like that was really the only thing he could do in this situation.
Yeah, Azilius kind of just had to just throw everything in the other lane, hope that Michi would like overspend or make a mistake, and Michi played exactly how he needed to win. So not much Azilius could do.
So game number 1 goes to Michifu. We'll see if Azilius can correct. And, you know, maybe not a great idea, as Dip is mentioning, Azilius tweeting about this specific deck today and then playing that deck in his first 1v1 game against Michifu. So, you know, maybe Michifu also has Twitter, I'm guessing, and a bit of a mistake here from the Frenchman, maybe in deck choice, taking a look at that matchup. And brutal, absolutely brutal. And with the Mini P.E.K.K.A., the E-Drag, so many ways to completely mitigate everything here. And Michifu takes game number 1, keeping Spain alive in this matchup. Yeah, Swid mentioned, yeah, we were not able to get an English stream in. I was not available to stream yesterday. Stepping in today, last minute, to cover for this one, and then I'll be back again tomorrow. So, I mean, if you're Spain right now, Dip, what do you think Azilius runs in game number 2? You mentioned he has another deck that he's the Graveyard. Do you think he goes Graveyard in game 2?
Azilius' comfort is Lava and Graveyard, but we see Goblins here. Maybe he's running Minor Wall Breakers, as it also is a very strong deck in the meta right now. Yeah, definitely Minor Wall Breakers. So I think Michi is running the either Mini P.E.K.K.A. Wall Breakers or Balloon right now. Oh, he's running Hog Rocket. Okay. Oh, okay, Earthquake.
And here comes the EQ. That'll be nice against the bomb tower. Hog will get 1 shot. Gets a 2nd shot as well. Gets a 3rd shot as well. A bit more than I thought. Right-hand side down to 1503 Azilius. Landing a Haymaker to open things up in this game. For a long time, people thought Azilius had lost the level he played at in 2017. 2018 was not a great year for the Frenchman, but then 2019 came back with a fury, playing very, very well for Team Queso. And of course, you see that New Jersey there, currently with Tribe Gaming with a monster lineup for the 2020 season. So we see Ewiz, we see Bats, we see Snowball, and Bomb Tower at least to kite a little bit. Well, how do you feel about this matchup? Does this go in Azilius' favor here, Dip?
This matchup is if Azilius plays properly, I can't see Azilius losing this match. With Michi just not having really the heaviest cards, and then Azilius just being able to play Hog and Earthquake, it really should be easy. Azilius has every defense he possibly needs for Goblins, for Miner, Bomb Tower, and Bats, and Ewis, and Snowball for Balloon. So yeah, this game should go to Azilius.
Very interesting Miner Balloon deck with the archers mixed in. Bomb Tower very popular right now, but not a lot of ways, as you mentioned, to deal with that Hog Rider except for that Bomb Tower, and EQ creates a big problem for it. This Hog Rider, though, does not connect, doesn't need to. 1038 right-hand side, Balloon left-hand side. Azilius, plenty of Elixir. Look at that beautiful catch on the Miner. Knew the Miner was coming to the Ewiz, made the right choice, got behind it. Ewiz easily stays alive. Hog Rider goes right-hand lane. Michifu trying to get the pressure off that right-hand tower, able to get almost nothing done with it. And setting up Balloon way in the back is the Spaniard. Ewiz responds, expect maybe a Miner to go to that Ewiz again. Not really a lot of other options here. Val goes right to the Miner, but Val can't get it done. Bomb Tower down, Balloon right-hand side. The cycle for Michifu is going pretty quickly right now. That Balloon, Snowball misses. Azilius misses the Snowball. Miner comes in. Balloon gets 1 connection, does not get a second. 310 right-hand side. Azilius is pretty much getting down of spell cycle range here. But this deck does not cycle that fast, and this balloon deck has been getting around very, very quickly. 127, Ewiz high. Miner in. Balloon cannot make it, and that should be it. Azilius takes game number 2. Very brutal matchups in game 1 and game 2. And at this level, you get a matchup like that very hard even for a pro to battle back, because guess who you're up against? Another pro. I mean, what do you put that matchup at for in Azilius' favor, Dip? I mean, is that at a pro level? Is that a 70-30? Is that an 80-20?
I would go. I would even say like 80-20. I haven't. Yeah, that's just rough for Mitchie. The only reason it was close is just because Azilius made a pretty bad mistake with missing a snowball. So yeah, I think pretty much any CRO player would win that matchup, like against another CRO player. That's just rough. Yeah,
so two very heavily weighted matchups in the opening moments, and Azilius correcting after playing the deck that pretty much, that so many people expected that deck coming in. Playing that deck, getting countered pretty hard, goes the opposite direction, counters pretty hard himself. Let's go take a look at the stats courtesy of Stats Royale, and you can see that it really was the Ewiz and the bomb tower, oddly enough. They were able to get it done. That one missed snowball not becoming a factor in the game at all, and you see the big difference in spells, of course, with 2 spells for the Frenchman and only 1 for, or I guess you call it 2 for the Spaniard, but 4 elixir of spells in the Spaniard. Who is on the call? King Crimson being joined today, Trainer Dippets, the fantastic player and amazing analyst for Clash Royale League, who's got some pretty big chips in his pocket, of course, helping Energy make their way deep into the playoffs this last season and winning the World Cyber Games with Juicy J, and a very, very talented guy who understands the game very well, joining on call and giving some extra insight into some of these matchups. So here we go, game number 3. Dip, any idea what you think these guys might be coming out with it all on the line?
Oh, Azilius might just go comfort and go with love or graveyard. I could definitely expect that from him. And Mitchie can just run a bit of everything. I think Mitchie will probably, yeah, as we see a miner coming up for Mitchie. That's pretty comfort for Mitchie, and anything with miner he's good with, so it's pretty hard to snipe Mitchie, but we'll have to see with possibly Giant. I'm not sure what this is. Oh, okay, it's the Ewiz Giant Poison deck, which should be a very good matchup against Graveyard. Which is what I think it's really.
And this is looking like Graveyard with that Barbarian hut. So just to keep everyone apprised of the stakes right now, Spain facing elimination. This is an elimination game. With that win, Azilius, a win here would send Spain home. A win from Michifu, of course, takes us to King of the Hill, where anything can happen. But Spain definitely has the advantage on paper if we go that far. France already guaranteed a spot through, but would love to take Spain off the board. And here we go, Giant left-hand lane. Knowing that France wants to play right-hand side, fine, let's go left-hand side with the Giant. And Mini P.E.K.K.A behind. Knight to meet. So Michifu setting up very heavy left-hand lane. And Barb Barrel penetrates nicely, gets the Ewiz off the board with the help of that Baby Dragon. Huge push going left-hand lane. Of course, you have to imagine Michifu sitting on a poison. A little early for a Graveyard, and you do see it come down just because of all the tankage. Poison in response from the Spaniard. And you see why he popped that Graveyard then. It wasn't so much about the Graveyard damage, but way more about the pile of troops going opposite direction. France in a good spot right now. Dip, what do you think of Michifu's chances as we enter into double elixir time with Azilius having this massive lead?
Yeah, I think Mitchie made a bit of a mistake playing Giant in single. I would say against Barbhut, it's a pretty similar mindset as against P.E.K.K.A with Giant. You kind of want to save your Giants because you're just giving them so much value by playing it, especially that early in the game, which is why you got punished so bad. But with Mitchie's quick cycle, I think in double elixir, you can definitely do a lot of damage with cycling and just a lot of pressure, as we see here.
Ewiz down low, and you see Giant going away from the weak side. Of course, both towers are in trouble for the Spaniard. Miner goes to the back of the tower, right-hand side. Mini P.E.K.K.A and Giant, the right-hand lane. Ewiz picked up by the Skeletons. Ewiz, though, should get one shot left-hand tower. Does not. 954 left-hand side. Miner being left alone, going to town on the right-hand side here for Michifu. 1490. We are in sudden death overtime, and suddenly France might be in a bit of trouble here. Graveyard met easily by the poison, but a couple skeleton pops will get through on that tower, down to just under 800 HP, 753 on the left-hand side. Azilius has to play strong defense right-hand lane, and Ewiz, Mini P.E.K.K.A both healthy behind the Giant. Miner goes to the back of the tower and pulls the Knight all the way back around, and that Barb Barrel just destroyed by the Mega Minion and Skeletons. Azilius was in a huge lead, suddenly in a lot of trouble. Knight comes down onto the Ewiz, and take a look at this. Michifu has nearly evened things up. Miner goes to the front of the tower. And a very interesting poison here from the Frenchman. 1458 right-hand side. And suddenly, only 9 HP separating these two with that log. Michifu does take the lead. Graveyard Barb Barrel, left-hand lane. Poison immediately meets it, just not able to get the same sort of value on that left-hand side he's gotten before. Ewiz comes in low for the Frenchman, and suddenly, inside spell cycle range is Michifu, and a ton of poison value. The right-hand side, poison out of cycle, though. This is the time for Azilius. He has to get across the board now. Can he get it done? 122, log comes in, Ewiz comes down, poison right-hand side, 11 HP. Azilius does it! Azilius does it! Spain's out! Spain's out! 11 HP! Oh my word! Oh my word! Looked like Michifu had taken it back. Azilius! Wow! Unbelievable! Unbelievable! The result that no one would have thought. Spain going out in the group stage. Wow! I saw someone say boring in the chat. What are you watching? Are your eyes closed? You're seeing a black screen right now? George, what do you think about that? That was an insane finish.
Wow. Azilius with almost like a bit of a mistake. He poisoned instead of graveyarded at first. And well, I guess, well, maybe he was just cycling for tower damage, which actually could have possibly saved him the game with his tower being at 11 HP. But, oh my god, I think, yeah, Michi played double elixir, near perfect. I think he could have played a bit more defense at the end there, possibly. But, yeah, Azilius got a lot of single elixir damage because I think of an early Giant. But then after that, I think Michi played near perfect. And then the only thing that could have helped him was probably playing a bit more defense at the end. But, yeah, just wow. That was incredible.
Just wow. And you take a look at the stats here, and you think with the amount of aggression that Michifu had, that it would have paid off there on the back end. And it got down to 11 HP. I mean, that is just a breath away from going towards Spain. But Azilius I mean, yeah, should have saved that poison, is being said in the chat. Azilius pulling it out on the back end and saving what could have been a big throw on the end there, and instead France going 3-0 in the group, and Spain will not be in the knockout rounds. Yeah, someone saying makes me laugh. People say Azilius is washed. Absolutely, Azilius is in top form in 2020. And this is a big win for the French side. Let's take a look at the replay, and you'll see me in the replay now because, again, I don't have a producer in my ear. I'm casting from my house as opposed to from their side. And take a look at this. Just nice. Let's get a nice. I'm going to get a nice sight. Watch this thing. So here we go. We're in the final minute of sudden death overtime. You see, this log gives Michifu the lead. And we see the Barb Barrel Graveyard push left-hand side. Poison play defensively. And you feel like that's got to be it, but what happened here, George? How did Azilius pull this thing out?
Actually, watching that back, I think the Giant may have been a bit of a mistake. All it does is it slowed down Michi's cycle. The Giant's just going to get played into his troops. I think Michi would have been better off with a bit of pressure with maybe Mini P.E.K.K.A and Miner and just cycling other cards, and definitely probably defensive poisoning there. I think could have definitely won the game because Michi cycles so fast, especially in triple elixir. Just a little more defense would have gone a long way.
Wow, and you see the hovered Ewiz there just barely saving that tower. All it would have taken was one more swing from the Miner, and that would have been it. But the EWIS hover there as opposed to trying to predict it, and Azili is able to save the tower and save the game. And honestly, you have to imagine that if they went into King of the Hill, that was a huge advantage to the Spanish side with the lineup they had available. Instead, Azili's closes it out now, avoids that problem, avoids that possibility. And despite the fact that it had no effect on whether France would go through or be the #1 seed from their group, Azili still wanted that win badly, wanted Spain out, and now Spain going home. And the more important news, Romania has to be celebrating. Romania, who gave Spain that opening loss, now through to the knockout stage. So you have to imagine that entire team is really, really excited to be going through to the round of 16. Wow. Wow, that's advantage. And look, if we're talking about what the next top 5 highlight video, last night we had that amazing comeback from El Siop, and if you watched the Spanish cast for that one and saw how crazy Koji and Manu went, and then today we have this from the French side to close things out, Azili's with a big time win. What a game. What a game. This is, honestly, I have to say that Clash Royale, like from the fall on into now, it seems like we're in a great time period for competitive Clash Royale. Unbelievable.
There's a lot of extremely close games. This has honestly just been a very entertaining tournament to watch, and I bet especially to cast. This has just been neck and neck this whole time, it seems.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be even crazier tomorrow. The Group C matches, when you get in, it's either Group C or Group D. Every single team in that group is tied 1-1. That's across the board. Let me go ahead and look at the groups here. Let me check what group that is. Yeah, the Group D match. That's your group tomorrow. Yeah, the Turkey-UK match is a winner-go-home match. So is Italy-Serbia. So both of those matches, whoever wins goes through, whoever loses goes home. So that's going to be a crazy day tomorrow. And of course, the Netherlands facing off against Germany. The Netherlands in a similar position as Spain was today. If they win, they go through. If they lose, though, they open the door, and the Netherlands could end up not making it through because Portugal has Finland. If Portugal beats Finland and Germany beats the Netherlands, well, Portugal's through and the Netherlands is out. So the Dutch squad in the same position as Spain was today. You know, George, by the way, everyone who's watching right now, joining me on voice chat is Trainer Divots, very excellent player and analyst. Thank you very much, Hugo, for the love on the top 5 plays. Definitely have 2 more coming in. One of the most controversial roster choices was that Javi Catorze wasn't even on the roster for this group stage. Do you have any thoughts on that now that we're looking at the back end?
I think Javi's a great player, but I can't take anything away from Michi, Ruben, Canario. They're all at the top of their game. It's definitely a tough decision from them. What I thought was just weird is Ruben, Canario, they're definitely 2 great players. I just don't know how good they are together in 2v2. I would have brought in Faye on the team personally, because Faye is just always, no matter who he's with in 2v2, he will turn that team into an elite 2v2 team. Arguably the best 2v2 player ever.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really fascinating that Spain had Faye and Uri both on the squad, who were Fnatic's 2v2 duo at one point. Well, Faye and Mikel. But that they had Faye on that squad, one of the best 2v2 records overall in CRL, and we didn't even see him in an active roster, much less in 2v2, which, you know, consider how important that set is, really, really shocking. So there you look at the final standings. Romania through, Spain out. These are the results from the day. Russia beating Taiwan, Romania getting the very important win against Greece, squeaking by a bit in King of the Hill, Uruguay getting the forfeit victory over Costa Rica, who didn't show up. And then you have Spain getting 0-2'd by France. And there you have it. France is the #1 seed out of the group, 3-0. One of the few squads to go 3-0 overall in this tournament. Spain out, Romania in, and you know, good on Romania too. They shocked everyone with that opening win against Spain. I think everyone's really excited to see Flaw continue on through the group through the knockout stages.
Yeah, Romania showed I think that personally they should have definitely won the 1v1 against France. They kind of choked that a bit, but showing bit of a weak 2v2, but their 1v1 and King of the Hill is shown to be pretty strong, so I think Romania is definitely a top contender going into the next stage.
So here we go. All 4 matches tomorrow mean something. The winner of Italy, Serbia goes through to the knockout stages. The loser goes home. The winner of UK, Turkey, its winner goes through, loser goes home. Portugal has to beat Finland to stay alive, and they will watch very closely to see if Germany can send the Netherlands packing or if the Netherlands can go ahead and get that win. The Netherlands currently does have a set lead on Portugal, so just like Spain had it today, the Netherlands has their own fate in their hand. Portugal, we're really going to be watching that one closely, but just like today where France wanted to send Spain packing, you know Germany, you know Morton and Sam want to send Surgical Goblin home early. And you look at those 2 matchups, I mean, you look at that, I have to think that Germany, in my opinion, has the advantage over the Netherlands. George, any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think Germany is a very strong team. They have depth. They have the players. Like Netherlands, they obviously have Serge, one of the best players that's ever touched this game. Bob the Rock, who's very strong right now, could possibly be tilted from their Portugal loss, which is very upsetting. But then, I don't know. Besides that, like, well, they have Loe's a hero player, but like I think Germany just has a lot of like very strong players, while I see the Netherlands having only 2.
Yeah, no, Netherlands is going to be interesting. I think that the 2v2 advantage goes to Germany, of course, with Morton and Sam being the pair, although they didn't pull that pair out in their last matchup. I expect they will here, though, against the Netherlands. And then the big question is, does Netherlands stay with this? They went with the same thing. They've had Loei and Serge together, and then Bob the Rock in the 1v1. But, you know, you got to wonder if they make any changes. Bob the Rock, an experienced 2v2 player, and I don't know, George. Do you think that they switch it up and throw Bob back in 2v2 and put Surgical Goblin in the 1v1 for this matchup?
I think it's very likely. They might even put like Dion and Loe together. I could definitely see something like that because those 2 are both 0 players. They have 2v2 history. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what the Netherlands picks. I could definitely see Serge putting himself in the 1v1 because he knows he's the man to get the job done. So we'll see. Have to see what they do.
Guys, thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much to Trainer Dippets. Of course, go ahead and follow him on Twitter. It's at Trainer Dippets, I believe. Am I correct there?
George CR underscore.
Oh, that's right. At George CR underscore. If you look up Trainer Dippets, you'll find him. I'm at Rich Slayton on Twitter. We will see you back here tomorrow morning if you're in the West Coast, tomorrow afternoon in the East Coast for the next day for a big set of lineups. I'm Rich Slayton. That's George. That's Trainer Dip. I'll see you next time for No Tilt Worlds.
All right, we good here?